I'm Sarah.
And I'm Ewan.
And this is
Popcorn and Cumin.
So pop that corn and get ready to talk about all things film, theater, and other. So every year since Ewan and I started dating, so right, it was every year?
I think give or take, yeah. Well, we definitely did it in 2020, and I think we definitely did it last year, 2022, and now this year, 2023.
And what is it that we did?
Oh, a whole bunch of stuff.
So every year we make a list of movies to watch during Halloween season, during spooky season, and we have movies on there that are scary and that are spooky. And there is a very big difference.
And we can see interesting trends as Sarah seems to tend towards movies that she deems spooky versus movies that I pick are generally erring towards scary. Although I don't really have much of a background in watching horror or scary movies, we just don't really ever watch them any other time of year. So you have to sort of anoint the deemed scary month as the time to watch them.
Yeah, I'm not usually a huge fan of horror movies, except I went through a phase when I was a teenager when I thought it was cool to like horror movies.
And Sarah watched every horror movie ever.
No, I watched the same 5 horror movies over and
but
over.
I think there's been a couple where we've started watching something and then you've gone, oh no, I have seen this, which is a
For
common...
horror movies?
Yeah, I'm sure there was one or two, or at least there's been a couple of occasions where you've thought, have I seen this? And then you've decided, yes, and you got it halfway through.
Anyway, nowadays I've realized that I don't want to be scared.
You're faint of heart.
Because life is scary enough.
Mm.
But I make an exception during the month of October.
What are some of your favourite Halloween movies?
Number 1, Halloween Town. Which is mainly for nostalgic purposes. You know, most people say that maybe the effects don't hold up to this day.
Well, for those of the many hundreds of listeners who have not heard of Halloween Town, how would you describe Halloween Town?
Halloween Town is a magical place where Halloween is always cool.
It is a movie. It's not just it is fiction.
No, it's real.
Okay, it's real.
And everyone is just happy. The monsters get along with the people. And it's all great until everything turns to shit. But you have to wait until we get to that movie to really hear that one.
I personally cannot wait to revisit Halloween Town along with Halloween Town 2. What was that one called? Someone's Revenge?
Calabar's Revenge?
Yeah, and Halloween Town 3.
Halloween Town High.
Mm-hmm. And Halloween Town 4.
What's that one? Have we seen that one?
No, I don't think we got to that one yet. I think it's when the people are older, or maybe she was recast or something.
But she's recast in Halloween Town High, isn't she?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh, alright, maybe I'm mixing them up.
If we hear Sarah make reference to saying Halloween is cool, I think that's from Halloween Town, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Halloween Town is your favourite Halloween movie?
Well, that's just the classic for me.
Mm-hmm.
That just holds the most nostalgia.
But you're also a latecomer to Hocus Pocus, I believe.
Yeah.
Despite it being something that seems to would have really appealed to you for your entire life.
Yeah.
You somehow avoided it.
And now that might actually be my favourite Halloween movie.
What about Hocus Pocus 2? I thought it was maybe superior in some ways. Yeah?
No.
It didn't have that little boy actor.
Which one?
The second one.
Oh, the virgin guy?
Yeah, or the weird, he turns into a cat and stuff.
Oh, that guy?
Yeah.
The guy from NCIS?
I don't know. You know, they tried to cast Leonardo DiCaprio for that, and he turned it down.
Wait, as the cat or the virgin?
I don't know, they're the same character, aren't they?
The cat starts off as a boy. You see him at the beginning.
It's the same person. Well,
No, but then the virgin is the main character of the movie.
We'll have to revisit that.
Which, this is the only part of Hocus Pocus that I think is really dumb. How they're the virgin needs to light the candle, and they make all these jokes about him being a virgin. I don't know. That's why I'm calling him the Virgin, because I think it's
It's
dumb.
not very Disney Channel appropriate on the talk of
No.
virgins. Kids will be wondering what that means.
Should we get to the ones we actually watched? Or are you
Well-
what are your favorite Halloween movies?
Well, so for those of you who cannot tell, Sarah is American. She's a proud Californian. Whereas,
And so is Ewan.
no.
But
No,
he gets
I'm not.
told that a lot.
Yeah, well, apparently my voice sounds very American, even though I'm from the bunny shores of Scotland.
Scotland!
Yeah.
Was that good?
Yeah, that was great. So, moving swiftly on from that, Halloween is not as much of a celebration, I suppose, in the UK as it is to in
Sadly.
America. So, I don't think I'd really ever been trick or treating or what we call guising, at least in Scotland.
Guising?
Yeah, I'm not really sure how different guising is to trick or treat. I'm not sure if it has like the treats involved. It's just like playing pranks on people. Or something.
What?
Yeah.
Do you dress up in costumes?
Well, I think it's difficult because I feel like if the things were separate, they've kind of like merged together because people like
Explain what guising is.
Well, to be honest, I'm not really sure. I feel like it's been like referred to that, but it is just like trick or treating. But trick or treating, well, it does happen
without the
Halloween.
treats.
No, it does. But now it does have that as well. So I'm not sure if that's like just been cribbed from the more Americanized style of Halloween.
But now do people say trick or treat?
Yeah.
Smell my feet? Give me something good to eat? If you don't, I don't care.
See, I've never
I'll
heard
pull
that.
down your underwear.
Well, that took a turn. I don't think I'd really ever done trick or treating, really ever. Although people in town would do it. I just don't know if we ever really like participated. And we would like
That's sad.
shut all our lights off and pretend.
Yeah.
No, I was joking. I don't think we did do
No,
that.
you said that you would do
No, I think
that.
we maybe did it once or twice. But I mean, that was my decision.
Well, one year I was at Ewan's house for Halloween. I kind of forgot about this. And I went to the store and I bought all the kids candy. And then I was the one who went to the door and handed out candy for them. And I put decorations outside the house so that I could lure the children in and give them candy.
I don't think many children came though. You would be a very good child catcher.
No, I bought so much candy and only like 10 kids came.
Yeah.
But they were excited.
Did you like ration it out so like do we still have loads left, or did you just give the 10 children loads of candy?
Oh, I think I let them pick 2. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
If I knew that no more were coming, they could have had... Because then just... you and your dad ate it all.
That's true.
And probably Sarah.
Yeah, I did like that, yeah. Yeah, so I haven't really ever cared that much about Halloween, to be honest. I mean, we would have like Halloween like discos and stuff. Did you have like discos as a thing when like growing up? I always thought that was like kind of like weird because like disco obviously refers to a style of music from the 1970s. It's I believe the only music genre that has never had a resurgence because it was just a perfect time and place and no one ever wanted to revisit it, or at least everyone who did want to revisit it, the general public didn't share those interests.
I feel like my mom liked disco.
No, I know she does, but well, there's like characters in The Simpsons called like Disco Stew, and he wears this very distinctive outfit with his chest on show, and he's got like a big like afro and stuff. And then obviously the disco ball is iconic.
Yeah, well that's still around. That lasted.
But I don't know why children's discos is like a thing in the UK, because it's just like it's like a dance,
disco?
but it's like an informal dance. You know?
Okay. Because we had dances starting in 6th grade. That was the big deal at the end of 6th grade, which is... How old are you in 6th grade?
You're asking the wrong person.
I know, that's what I'm trying to tell those Brits in case they don't know what age it is. I think 6th grade you're 11.
Yeah. When do you graduate from high school? What
grade is
that?
it? 12.
Yeah, okay. So
12
6 would make
minus
sense,
6. Yeah. So you're like 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of 6th grade, you have the 6th grade dance, and it was a big deal. Who asked who to dance?
But was it a formal dance?
Kind of, but you're a child, so like what does formal really mean? Not really. I think I just wore like, honestly, short shorts.
What sort of
and
music was played? That's the more important thing. Because like Halloween discos, it would just be like they play like the Monster Mash and stuff,
Yeah.
and like the YMCA.
Is this in primary school or high school?
Yeah, primary school.
Yeah. See, we didn't have many dances in elementary school. Only the one at the end, I think. And then in junior high is when you started getting more formal-ish dances. Ugh, God. I went to every single one.
Yeah. No, good for you.
But anyway.
Yeah, so I've been more of I would say like a late comer to Halloween because I've had to sort of latch onto Sarah's obsession with the period. Halloween's not just a day to Sarah, it's a whole month.
Yeah.
Dubbed spooky season.
Yeah.
But we have Halloween decorations adorning our flat/studio where we record this. We have bats on the mirror. We have glow-in-the-dark skeletons. We've got pumpkins. We've got a lantern with a spider on it. I believe a couple of years ago we had like all this like spider's web like decorations. That was good.
Yeah. We do still have those spider webs, but I wasn't sure the best place to put them. I felt like they might end up just looking like spider webs, not like decorations.
Yeah. Yeah, we only just got rid of the spider webs upon moving in here.
Yeah. Yeah, we just moved into our new London flat. Not New London. Our new flat in London.
Where's New London?
Don't ask me.
I don't think it's a real place.
No, I think it is.
Oh, there's probably places in the US.
I think it's
Canada,
somewhere in the East Coast.
Didn't take off in New York.
Yeah, no. The moral of the story is that now you love Halloween, just like me.
Yeah.
And you think that
Maybe
it is
more.
great that
Maybe
it's
a
a
little
whole
more.
month. Maybe it should be the whole year.
Yeah.
And now we're going to talk about the movies that we watched.
Yeah, the movies we've watched so far on our list.
Yes.
So we're now over a week through October, and our list of, I mean, just looking at it, looks about 30 movies. We've watched 4, so we're making good pace through it.
Well, we'd have to watch one a day to get through it. Spooky season can go into November too, I think.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to go through this list so we can tear it down and destroy it.
Well, these dang British people, they want to start celebrating Christmas in October.
Yeah. The first movie we watched from our list is Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
I had not seen it. But it had always been on the sort of like list of films that I was interested in seeing. And lo and behold, we start our Halloween count, our Halloween movie marathon, off with a movie which opens with snow falling and is set at Christmas time. So it was a bit of a mistake really in that sense. Although it did definitely have somewhat of a spooky tone to it.
Yeah, it's like Nightmare Before Christmas. Bit of Christmas, bit of Halloween.
Produced by the same creator, Tim Burton.
Wow.
Tim Burton is the creator of Nightmare Before Christmas, but not the director, despite his name being like plastered all over it.
Yeah, and everyone thinks, subconsciously thinks he's the director.
Well, apparently the director of Nightmare Before Christmas retains some bitterness towards Tim Burton for his name being plastered all over it, because apparently he wasn't very helpful during the creative process. However, I'm sure we'll get to Nightmare. Nightmare Before Christmas is potentially my favorite movie, or at least one of my favorite movies.
Wow.
So, high praise indeed. No. Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Is it? Is it okay?
No, it's not.
Okay.
You have to like Halloween Town. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a few on our list that have been there every year. Hocus Pocus, Halloween Town, maybe Alien, but we have never watched it.
I've seen Alien.
Well, but we haven't watched it together. I think Witches of Eastwick has been there every year. We haven't watched that. Scooby-Doo, I think we've watched every year.
I don't know if we've necessarily watched it.
No.
I remember we watched it like when we were flying to the States one time. I'm not sure like if we watched it as part of like the Halloween.
No, we have to. I think we did once.
Well, we watched it a couple times together.
That's another one that's. Yeah. It's not as specifically Halloween focused, but I love that movie. What else is on there every year? Harry Potter. I think the first and the third are the most Halloween-ish.
Well, the first one just because there's a scene at Halloween.
There's a Halloween feast.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, it specifically goes through Halloween. But the third one is probably more the, like, vibes of the movie and the tone and everything.
Yes. With the Halloween feast every year, well, maybe they've stopped doing it, but my brother and his wife will make recipes from the Halloween feast and then watch the first Harry Potter. They might just watch that scene, but I think they watch the whole thing and then eat the food from the Halloween feast.
What are some of the things they make?
Butterbeer. They look at everything that's there, played the movie, and then looked at the dishes, and then tried to find the recipes. But I can't remember exactly.
Pumpkin pasties?
Oh yeah, duh. Pumpkin pasties, which we tried making once. They were okay. But we don't have very good baking tools, so I blame that.
Yeah. What we lack in tools, we make up for in skill and passion for baking.
Yes. We have the heart of a baker.
Yeah.
Or Ewan does. He likes to say that about himself.
That's alright. It's from the Office, isn't it? It's a reference to The Office.
Is that what Michael said?
Yeah, I think he says that about Holly.
Oh. So does that make me Michael in this relationship?
Well, you're the one that assigned me the moniker, right?
No, you said that about yourself.
Well, maybe that makes me Michael and Holly.
And then what am I?
Dwight.
No, I like Dwight. Okay, anyway. I think, is that everything that's been on the list?
Nosferatu was definitely on the list last year.
Yes, but I want to see that, because it's a silent movie, and a lot of times there'll be events where you can go see it with a live organist playing with it, which I think would be really cool, but we did not successfully ever go to that.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll try and get there. I think Us has been on the list every year, which I've seen and Sarah hasn't.
The problem is, I think that might be the scariest one on the list. So then I'm hardly ever in the mood to be that scared.
Which is a shame because I think is a very good. We watched Get Out. That had been on the list.
I really liked Get Out.
Yeah, and it's the same writer director.
They stole my book idea.
Okay, yeah. Sarah is an author. And she...
Don't tell them my idea.
Well, Sarah's had... We've watched a couple of movies which midway through Sarah has gotten very frustrated with because they have stolen her idea. Some of these have been movies such as the acclaimed Best Picture nominee Get Out, which Sarah watched 5 years after it came out, or 4 years after it came out, and then was annoyed that they'd stolen her idea. And also Avatar, which was the highest grossing movie ever, which apparently stole Sarah's idea. So that could have been, you could have been a billionaire if you just... Yeah. I think, unfortunately, Avatar came out when you were in your teens, so you would have struggled.
Although I think that Avatar was more profitable because of their CGI, not because of the plot, to be honest.
No, the first Avatar is just okay. And the second Avatar is also just okay. It's not James Cameron's best work.
Yeah, I think, the first one's better than the second. Okay, but this isn't what we're here to talk about.
So we started watching Edward Scissorhands. We're immediately thinking, should we mix watching it and start watching it at Christmas because it immediately set up to make it feel like it was a Christmas movie. Sarah had seen it before, and you were remarking that you liked it more on this rewatch than you had when you originally watched it. Maybe you can go into why you thought that.
Yeah, well, I first watched it at my home in Davis, California. So I must have been probably in high school or something. And I think when I watched it then, it was too weird for me because I wasn't weird enough yet. Like, I thought that I was weird, but I wasn't.
Was this pre or post your horror movie phase?
Post horror movie phase was a bad phase. That was my junior high phase. We don't need to talk about that.
Where does that rank on all of your phases? Which one was the worst? Is that the worst one?
Yeah, that was when I was probably the worst.
What about your Star Kid
person
phase?
That kind of blended into it, but that was the better part of my personality, I would say. My obsessions were honestly the better part of mine.
What about the Twilight phase?
That was probably a bit before. I had my Twilight phase.
Do you think your Twilight phase is what got you into horror movies?
No.
It was like a gateway drug?
No. That was probably when I was in 6th or 7th grade. And then I was too cool for Twilight. And people started, for some reason, comparing Twilight and Harry Potter, and I obviously had to take Harry Potter's side because that was my personality, was Harry Potter. So then I phased out of my Twilight phase, but then I feel like I've phased back into my Twilight phase again, because I really like watching it now, because it's quite funny.
From the people I've spoken to, a lot of people seem to like Twilight as like a comfort movie watch because it's awful and they can laugh at it.
Yeah.
But, although when I seem to say that, you seem to take umbrage with that.
Well, listen, I don't think you ever had any love in your heart for Twilight, and you can't, the way that you make fun of Twilight is in a vicious, mean way. Not mean. But you don't have that nostalgia attached to it, so you aren't allowed to make fun of it in the same way until you gain that respect.
Okay. But you sort of make fun of it more as you would like your childhood friend. You like sort of poke fun at each other.
Yeah.
Whereas I do it, it's like bullying. Yeah.
But it's a very fun movie to watch, especially if you're playing a drinking game. You know, there's a lot of classic lines in it, like...
You better hold on tight, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that other one? Like Chico or something?
No, it's...
Something
what is it? Bella, how you doing, Loca? Is that what it is? Yeah. That's classic. Or it's like, hey, Arizona, how you liking the rain? That's another good one.
Yeah. I'm surprised Twilight hasn't gone on your list.
That's
to be
true.
Honest. Yeah.
I guess just because I don't associate it with Halloween, but maybe it should go up there.
Mm-hmm. Well,
unfortunately,
the list is full. Well, you were talking about how you liked Edward Scissorhands more because you've grown as a person.
Oh.
It sounds like.
No, because I've become a weirder person.
Oh, okay. Well, you might just have a more of an appreciation for like weirdness.
Yeah, I think when I watched it the first time, I was kind of just like, what is happening? What, this town doesn't make sense. These people are so strange. But now that's kind of what I like about it. And I was getting really strong Whoville vibes from it, especially once he started cutting people's hair, and then all the townspeople had these wacky haircuts, and that combined with like the weirdness of the film and the town. I don't know, I was getting Whoville vibes. And the snow and Christmas stuff.
It definitely did have a sort of Grinch-like feel to it. I would be quite interested to see if that was like an inspiration for it. Because just even with the
plot.
Him being like found on a house that overlooks the like little town.
Then they kind of adopt him in.
Yeah.
And he's afraid everyone will hate him because he's different.
Mm-hmm. And he's really corrupted by the townspeople, Edward Scissorhands, corrupted, but in the sense that like the trouble that he gets into during the movie is not really his fault; it's the fault of the people around him. What do you think that says thematically? The corrupting effects of society on the individual.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story is we should all go live in a castle alone on a hill and never speak to anyone.
But he was miserable though. He was scared and miserable.
That's true. But was he more miserable after his interactions with the townspeople? Well, I guess he had the little romance thing.
Yeah. I really liked it a lot more than I was kind of... not that I was not expecting to like it, but I thought it was sort of stronger than I was anticipating. It was, as with all like Burton movies, it was like very stylized, but it was not in a sort of really like over the top way. It sort of felt like a sort of nice little world he creates, because it's like, it feels like it's set in like America, but like none of the people in it really like feel like they'd be real people. It's kind of like in the like Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies where like it's set in New York, but it seems to be like a fictionalized version of New York where like everyone is a cartoon character.
And it's very sort of don't worry, darling.
I don't know, it kind of has like a sort of just really strange, like, it seems like they live in a town that's like completely cut off from like the rest of the world.
Yeah, but then all the husbands go off to work, right?
Yeah,
and then all the women are just like sitting around gossiping.
Yeah.
As the women do.
Yeah, apart from the one woman who works as an Avon salesman who finds Edward in his little nest house on the hill and then takes him in. Really just because she feels bad for him, I suppose. Very odd, really. I found it intriguing because I'd never really seen an Avon salesman in real life, and in Scotland, saying someone's da sells Avon was a term of insult about 10 years ago.
Da means dad.
Yeah, or father. Yeah. So it's a sort of like to be an Avon salesman in this or salesperson would be looked upon negatively. But I'm not sure if that is looked on highly in the States, or especially in the fictionalized little town of Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Avon, to be honest. Though my grandma was I hope I get this right, a Tupperware, or the other one, Rubbermaid. No, she was a Rubbermaid salesperson.
But there's like plastic boxes as well as Tupperware.
Yeah, but I think Rubbermaid is Tupperware's competitor.
Oh. So I also sort of liked about Edward Scissorhands that it didn't really, like, the townspeople didn't immediately just shun him, which I feel like is maybe another sort of reason to think that it is not really set in the real world, because it was more likely that people would shun him for having scissors for hands. But to be honest, like, everyone just kind of likes him almost immediately. And they especially like him when he starts cutting their hair in hedges.
Yeah. So weird. Why does the inventor give him scissor hands? Because then he's gonna gift him with like new proper hands. Is it because he just hasn't made him hands yet? Or is it a punishment? Or is it supposed to be useful for... Is he supposed to be the guy's tool? Why does he give him scissor hands? Yeah,
it is unclear. Like, it seems like from the flashback sort of scene we see, he sees a machine in his sort of kooky Wallace and Gromit style little invention lab full of knickknacks that are probably not really useful for anything. But he sort of looks at a inanimate object and thinks, maybe I should make it real and give it hands for scissors. Or scissors.
Well, he looks at a robot, and then there's a heart on the robot, or he puts a heart on the robot. So he's like thinking, what if I give this thing feelings? And
It does seem strange that you'd give him scissors. I guess you could argue that he either is making him to be like a tool of some sort, or he just likes the design of it, or he's giving him scissors as like a placeholder for fingers. Although...
What a good placeholder for fingers.
They're like big, long, spindly fingers, but they're not very good at holding things, as Edward learns throughout the course of the movie.
Because it seems like the inventor and him have kind of a nice relationship.
His dad. Yeah. Well, we only see like a couple like glimpses of that.
But he's at least not cruel to him.
Well, he's not
like Dr. Frankenfurter.
Yeah, he's not like the Frankenfurter. He's also not like the person who invents Sally in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they still have a sort of weird power balance and manipulative thing.
Yeah, well, he doesn't let him out of the house ever. It's also not really clear, like, if the townspeople know who the inventor is at all. Or, like, if he ever, like, interacts with anyone. Or, like, how he, like, lives.
Why does he have this giant, creepy castle?
Yeah.
And why is he living in it all alone?
Mm-hmm.
Just a creepy bloke.
Yeah, he is a creepy bloke. But yeah, so I like that. I mean, it does focus on, like, Edward's differences from the townspeople and his inability in some ways to fully connect with them due to his abnormalities. But he is not immediately like shunned and made fun of for having scissors for hands, which was nice to see. There's a lot of decent humour in it, I would say, as well, particularly of Johnny Depp kind of looking sort of sad in his performance as Edward, or confused.
Yeah, I thought his performance was really good.
Yeah, it's another classic performance of Johnny Depp in tons of makeup, it looking barely recognisable as...
Yeah. But I feel like, considering the character hardly ever speaks, I feel like he only has like 3 or 4 lines that he actually says.
Mm-hmm.
I think he does a good job of still keeping you like engaged and caring about the character.
I mean, you grow to like him a lot.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to wrap up on Edward Scissorhands? You really liked it.
Sizzy hands.
Yeah.
Should we have a sort of scale of which we rate them?
I mean, it's art, so you're an artist. Do you like your things being scored?
No, not... Well, we could say what ratings we give them, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
We're rating each one out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it a 9.
And I gave it an 8. in my own sort of personal scale, the scores I sort of try to just affix them to the feeling I get once I like walk out of it. So
the feeling you got was 8.
Yeah, but 8 means great, right?
What does 9 mean?
Like amazing, and then 10 is kind of
I thought you were doing a
unquantifiable.
rhyming thing.
No.
8 is great.
Well, what would 9 be?
Is
It's
fine.
mine. No, like that's fine.
Yeah.
Like you.
Mm.
What would 6 be? What range is 6?
Dicks.
God. And 5, like, I'm glad I'm alive to watch this.
If I rate something a 5, I'm probably not so glad I'm alive.
Yeah. So basically, I normally go like 4 and below is bad. 5 is like it's okay, which means like I didn't like dislike it, but if I'd never watched it, I would have been fine with that. 6 is when it starts to like tend more positive. So 6 would be like I liked it. 7 was like it was good. 8 great. 9
fine.
Yeah. And then 10 is sort of more
But like
unquantifiable.
fine,
Yeah.
not like
Fine with like a capital F, yeah.
Yeah. 10 is Big Ben.
10 is Big Ben.
Okay, now we're going to go into our new segment in our new podcast,
Popcorn and Cumin.
Popcorn and Cumin, called Why Isn't This
A Musical?
So, we're very into musical theater. Well, I'm very into musical theater.
Well, I am as well. Now.
Yes.
But this is something we've sort of bonded over. Where I think I was a kind of a closeted musical theater fan in a way. Or at least it was unearthed through our relationship.
Yeah. Well, I've quite enjoyed musical theater since I was a kid. The first show I saw was Wicked. So it holds a special place in my heart. I feel like it holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts. And then in high school, I did a bit of musical theater, and in college as well, where I performed in musical theater.
Yeah.
And, well, I miss doing that, but we now live in London, so we see quite a few West End shows. I've lost track. I think we've seen probably 15 or so at this point.
Definitely one a month since we've lived here on average.
Not because we're rich, because we do.
In fact, we're poor because of it.
We do day of tickets that usually cost.
Don't give it away.
£25.
People steal our tickets.
Yeah. Well. So anyway, this is our segment where we discuss whether these movies would be better if they were just musicals.
Yeah. And the answer is always yes.
At least from me it is. Well, so now we'll pose a question. Would Edward Scissorhands be better as a musical? Is it a musical?
I'm not sure. I definitely could see it being adapted into... I think it's a ballet. It's a ballet.
Oh,
yeah.
That's what we've
It could also be a musical, but there's currently an Edward Scissorhands ballet playing in London.
So what do you think?
I'm going to say it definitely could be a musical. I'm not sure if it would be better as a musical, potentially.
I think it might be better.
I guess it's just like another thing where you have these, like, kind of like a loner protagonist, where I just don't know if, like, him singing like all these songs would be super compelling.
I don't know if he would. I think maybe he would have one song towards the end.
Yeah, and he turns out he's an amazing singer.
Yeah, the rest is everyone singing, because he doesn't talk very much during the movie.
Yeah.
So I think if everyone around him is like singing and creating a lot of noise and stuff, and he's kind of just standing there all sad, like, I don't know, I feel like that could be effective. There could be a gossip song, which has happened in many musicals, because women just love to gossip. Like in The Music Man, the horrible, pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, cheep, 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 take a lot, take a little more.
No,
Classic patter
I have
song.
no idea what that is.
I hate that song.
So we want one of those in...
No, we want a gossip song that is better.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's just done. We've done that.
Like, did you hear he's cutting all the plants? Did you hear he's cutting the dog hair too?
He could do a number on my bonnet. That's slang for hair in my world.
In the Scots.
And then that, like, the woman who's, like, into him could then be like something.
He could do a number on my
trunk or something.
Oh, God.
Because like a car bonnet versus the back of
What's
a
car bonnet?
The front, the hood, in
Oh.
American speak.
Haven't heard that before.
Bonnet, yeah.
I'm not sure if that would cross over to America. Maybe that could be the UK version.
Okay. We have to rewrite it for the two similar dialects.
It'll be a lot of work, but we can do it.
There could also be a song where like he is like, "Why did you give me scissors for hands?"
Yeah, there could be a song. Oh, but then he'd be singing.
Yeah, it could open with like the mad professor dude being like,
Mentor.
"What if I turned this machine into a man called Edward?"
Yeah. To be honest, this sounds a lot like the musical that we did in college.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it actually Edward Scissorhands?
No. It was like a Frankenstein.
Okay. Well, Edward Scissorhands is very Frankensteinian.
Yeah.
I believe.
Is there a Frankenstein musical?
Probably. I'm sure someone's done one.
Yeah.
You know, someone did a musical about John Rawls. Do you know who that is? So he is a American philosopher who wrote A Theory of Justice, right?
I'm so intrigued.
Well, doesn't it just sound funny as a concept?
Yeah. It sounds like something that would be done at the Fringe.
I think it was done at the Fringe.
There you go.
So he was an American philosopher who was like quite, like in the 20th century, he was like quite famous and influential. And he, I think, is sort of philosophically diametrically opposed to this guy called Robert Nozick.
Like Hamilton.
Yeah.
And Aaron.
Well, they didn't end up killing each other.
Diametrically opposed.
Yeah. The premise of the Rawls musical, I think, is maybe called like A Theory of Justice or something. John Rawls is like going through history, explaining to people why his theory is better than like Robert Nozick's, and just like the premise sounded like so niche and stupid. I was like, that actually sounds like, even if all the music's awful, I feel like it would still be like quite an interesting watch.
Okay. Back to Edward Scissorhands. There could be a sort of love ballad. Oh, definitely when she's like he's cutting the ice sculpture and then she starts dancing in it. That could be a song.
Yeah. The sort of like, you know, the dramatic interval song could be when he goes to like rob the house, when he's like sort of lured into doing that.
Yeah.
Because then it ends when the doors lock or something and then they run away and it's like, oh, what's gonna happen in the second act? I don't know how
that would
it
be
could
good.
I don't know what sort of music that would kind of be. Maybe a kind of like,
well, this is so niche. In the Trail to Oregon, the Star Kid production, which is a parody of the Oregon Trail computer game, they have a song before the interval that is when
the wagon is on fire.
Yeah.
Is that one?
So it's like, the wagon is on fire. So if we did something in that style for Stealing It, but I don't think Edward would be singing that. I think his partners would. And then maybe if Edward sang, he would be like opposed to what the other people are saying. He'd be like, why does Nancy want me? Is her name Nancy? No, that's the wrong movie. What's her name?
I don't know.
Why does Winona Ryder want me to do this?
Yeah.
I just want to go home.
Yeah. No, that could be
Let's
good.
rob this house.
I just thought we could also have, you know how we were saying how your dad sells Avon was like an insult?
Yeah.
We could make the mum Scottish and then her sort of opening song could be Your Ma Sells Avon.
Yeah, that would really get the Scots on board.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, I feel like because it's niche enough humour, even if the actor couldn't do a good Scottish accent, people would still be on board with it.
Or we could just get a Scottish person to do it.
Yeah, they're hard to come by.
Yeah, start lining up Scottish people.
Scottish middle-aged women. They're going to be cast in the role of the woman who sells Avon in Edward Scissorhands.
Alright, so I say better as a musical. Ewan says...
I think it has potential. Yeah.
But you have to choose yes or no. That's just...
I'm going to say no. I think it could be equally as good, but I don't think it would be better as a musical. Yeah.
Boom.
We have to have some dissenting opinion.
Nah. Well, yeah, that's Edward Scissorhands. I think that maybe it makes sense to next talk about a similar scissy-handed man that also has Johnny Depp in it.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? Guess that movie.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't think of all the like weird creature people in Alice in Wonderland. I don't think there's someone with scissors for hands. No, what we're actually talking about is Nightmare on Elm Street, which is of course the first film in what has become a long-running horror franchise starring Freddy Krueger, a murderer slash serial killer who can infiltrate the dreams of teenagers, of horned up teenagers.
And by the way, we're going to start with non-spoiler sections, and then we're going to try to say when we'll start saying spoilers. I don't think we really spoiled anything in the previous
Edward
one.
Scissorhands?
Scissorhands.
No. Well, you said there was a love story, but
Don't bring it up again.
Well, what movie exists without a love story?
Oh, we didn't even talk about Winona Ryder.
Yeah, she was good.
Yeah, that's all.
Moving on.
Okay. So, Nightmare on Elm Street. First of all, can we talk about how that looks nothing like the person in the movie?
Yeah, so the theatrical release poster we're looking at looks very similar to like how a Goosebumps book cover would look, with like a drawing of a person that doesn't really look real. Like it could have been a photo, but when you like look at it, it's like that isn't a photo.
And it doesn't really look like the actress.
No.
And Freddy's face looks like, I don't know, like a robot fox or something?
Yeah. No, it does look strange. I wonder if it's meant to be some sort of holographic thing that isn't captured very well on a computer screen. But in the flesh, it would have looked better. So,
and of course she's naked. Sorry.
Well, she's in bed.
Well, what? I know. Well, she's in bed, so therefore she's naked.
Yeah.
She's just
Plenty of
sleeping.
people sleep naked. She isn't sleeping.
She must be if he's there.
No. Well, she looks awake.
Alright.
Well, I had never seen Nightmare on Elm Street before. It's written and directed by Wes Craven. One of the first horror movies I really ever watched was the Scream series, which I think I've watched all of the Scream movies apart from 4. I mean Scream 4. I've seen all of the Scream movies apart from 4 of them. That would have been not a very good statement. The Scream movies are great. I guess they're a satire of the genre that Nightmare on Elm Street sort of helped create, or at least help sort of flesh out, along with Friday the 13th and Halloween. So Halloween would be like the first slasher movie, I believe, or at least what would be attributed as such, but maybe
Can you define a slasher movie?
So typically a slasher movie is one where there is a killer who is generally sort of unkillable, and often they're competent in what they do, but to an extent where like it seems like you'd be like able to like get away from them. So like in Nightmare on Elm Street, the main character, what was her name? The final girl is what they're often called in slasher
movies.
Wasn't
it Nancy?
Yeah, Nancy. Nancy sort of is able to push back on him a bit and like fight him, although some of the other characters don't really fare so well. But typically a slasher movie has this killer character then killing typically teenagers who, as in the Scream movies, are pointed out to sort of generally act pretty stupidly and sort of ultimately are not responsible for their demise, but probably could have avoided potentially their grisly fate if they'd acted a bit smarter. And typically there's like pretty like over the top kills of these teenagers, and
that was certainly the case.
Yeah. Nightmare on Elm Street is like, I guess, somewhat different in the sense like it is over the top, but it's like also kind of supernatural. Whereas the other movies are kind of like have to become supernatural because the killer character sort of becomes like unkillable.
Invincible.
Whereas the premise of this is that Freddy Krueger can like invade people's dreams, which is a bit more of an out there sort of concept than typical slasher movies. Normally it's just like, well, for instance, in Halloween and in Friday the 13th, it's just like a masked guy who like walks around and kills people. Now it is like backstories like fleshed out and stuff, but if you were to just like look at it on a very surface level, that's what it's about. So that's a slasher movie. This very much fits into that. Not actually as many kills as you'd expect in a regular slasher movie, to be honest. I thought it was a pretty strong movie. However, the main criticism we probably both have with the movie is that the ending doesn't make sense. Now there's reasons for that, but we can sort of get there, I suppose.
Yeah.
So Sarah has an undergraduate degree in psychology, and one of her sort of keen interests is in sleep. So there's a scene in the movie where they talk about how we don't really understand sleep or dreams or why we dream, etc. Now this movie came out in 1984, I think, so that was almost 40 years ago at the time of recording. Has our understanding of sleep changed at all since then, Sarah?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm definitely not an expert on this. I wrote one honors paper. It was a literature review, and this was back in 2017 or something. So this is still 6 years ago.
But you've read books about it and stuff.
Yes, I read half. I still need to finish it. Half of Matthew Walker's Why We Sleep. I definitely would recommend that book. But there's only a little bit in there about dreams that I haven't even gotten to yet. It's mainly about, the purpose of sleep and how basically the moral of the story is you need to get your sleep, because if you don't, there's a lot of bad health consequences.
Yeah. Well, I believe there's been studies on mice or rats or something where scientists have deprived them of sleep for a couple of days and eventually they just died.
Well, there's all kinds of studies like that. Yeah. But when I was doing my literature review on sort of why we dream, I was looking at it in a far less sort of Freudian way, as in not thinking that necessarily your dreams are manifestations of your subconscious or anything like that. Mainly the things that I was looking at were talking more about how back then, we didn't have a definitive answer of why we dream. So it is still something that is quite a mystery. But some of the theories included that because when we sleep, you're condensing, your short-term memory into long-term memory, which is why you should always get really good sleep before your exams.
What about cramming? Cramming the night before has always served me well.
Well, honestly, it served me well too. But you still need to get sleep before it. Do not pull an all-nighter. Do not at least get some sleep before your test. If you pull an all-nighter, that information is not going to consolidate. You're not going to remember it.
Because your brain is like a sponge, maybe. But sleep, the lack of sleep changes it into a sieve, maybe. Sponge sieve.
Sure,
sponge sieve theory.
That's Ewan's theory. But anyway, the main theories that I was looking at was that when this consolidation process is happening, so just parts of your brain are, quote unquote, lighting up, are being activated.
Sarah's doing finger quotes.
Thank you. Are being activated, and dreams are more of a runoff, a symptom, as Ewan says, of that.
A byproduct
of that activation. And again, I'm not claiming that this is the correct theory, but this is just one that I looked at.
It sounds plausible.
Yeah.
It sounds like a more sort of scientific theory than just a sort of more spiritualistic idea that it's your subconscious trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is, has there ever been a case of someone being killed in their dream and then they die in the real world? Such as they are killed in their dream and that results in them being pulled into their bed and erupting in a fountain of blood? Has that ever happened?
I don't know, but it sounds plausible. Wait, Dave, you did a spoiler!
No, that might happen in the movie, it might not.
Okay, just a little bit more of non-spoiler content.
Well, what did you think of Freddy Krueger as a sort of concept? You found him kind of scary, right, when the kids were singing about him? You don't like children singing? You find it creepy?
Yeah, well, when the children were singing about him, but he himself wasn't that scary. He was more just weird.
Yeah, he's sort of weird and creepy. He doesn't have the same sort of unkillable, imposing quality as Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers in Halloween and Friday the 13th. The Scream movies created by the same person, Wes Craven. He is a bit more similar to Ghostface, and that is kind of a bit more bumbling and kind of flying by the seat of his pants a little bit.
I don't know why I guess this is kind of I don't know what toddlers do, or maybe slightly older kids, or in The Sims. Well, you can have the option to make your sim say, watch this, and then do something stupid. And that was his vibe. He would be like, hey, Nancy, and then just cut off his fingers. And I'm like, what is that? What are you doing?
It seemed like he was doing something because he's in control in the dream world, so he's kind of playing with his...
Yeah, well, he really just
his prey a little
doing
bit,
self-mutilation. Yeah. I feel like, who's that really hurting?
Yeah, just trying to scare people, I suppose, but... I do think as the movies go on, which we're not going to talk about or probably even watch, but he becomes a bit more he becomes more the sort of main character, where it's like you're sort of watching them to see him, one, kill these idiot teenagers in like weird creative ways, and two, like he says like funny one-liners or something, which you do get a bit of in this movie, but not an awful lot. Yeah.
He does kind of have almost Beetlejuice kind of vibes. And he's got that creepiness towards young women.
Yeah. Well, he killed men as well.
He's got a creepiness towards young people, shall we say.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think we should go into the spoilers for Nightmare on Elm Street. Not that there's like that much to spoil, I don't think.
Wait, first can we keep going on the creepy sexual things?
Okay. Well, that might spoil them.
Alright, I don't think this is really a spoiler. 2 creepy sexual moments. One, his hand, she's in the bath, of course. Never go into a bath in a horror movie, if you know you're in a horror movie. She's in the bath, you get this shot like between her legs, which like, why do we have to sexualize teenagers?
It is a cool shot, I think.
Okay, wow. And then his hand comes up like his sissy hand comes up between her legs. Yeah. And it's just so sexual. Ugh, yeah. I don't know.
But I think it's sort of one shot in that way to appeal to like horned up teens it's meant to be appealing to.
Horned up teen heterosexual men?
Yeah. It's a good job you remind me of this, because I thought it was interesting that the movie is at sometimes seems to be filmed like with quite a sort of professional, like, oh, that's a cool shot or something. And then other times it sort of looks very like amateur, as if they've like ran out of budget.
Or it's just a sign of the times. There was a lot of shaky camera work, which I think was on purpose. That's supposed to show.
But it kind of felt like shaky cam in the sense that you would do it like you're like filming your friends running around.
Yeah, well, my friends and I used to shoot horror movies, and it kind of had. I think that ours could have been
something.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
But sometimes it had some good shots. Maybe not the crotch shot. I'm not going to say that's a good shot.
Well, you maybe don't disagree with it from a sort of ethical morality perspective, but it's...
we could have had a good shot that wasn't...
Well, it was unsettling, wasn't it? And that's maybe what they were going for.
What about the other moment when somehow his tongue comes out of the phone and into her mouth? That was...
Did he lick her mouth? I also thought that was cool.
You thought that was cool?
Yeah, well, I thought it was like creepy. So like,
I thought that was so weird. I thought it was like, but weird in a bad way.
Yeah, well, I think that's the sort of like best space that horror movies can like operate in, is where it like makes you feel like unsettled, but you're not actually like disturbed. You're like, that's freaky, but when you try and break it down, really it was just the idea of an old handset telephone and a man's tongue just appearing out of the
But it's not just a man, it's an old man. Well, older.
Yeah.
Apparently, as the movies go on in the sequels, people didn't like that they started making Freddy Krueger more like sexual, but what? He's sticking his tongue in their mouths. Yeah. He's putting his hands all up in their bathtubs. Like,
so there's a remake of Nightmare on Elm Street that came out in the mid-2000s, I think, which is... Sarah had seen this already, I believe. And I think people don't really like that movie for... I haven't seen it, but they sort of make the tone like much more dark and harrowing.
Yeah, that one was much more scary.
Yeah.
Freddy is no longer a silly little creepy man.
Yeah. I think the Freddy Krueger design in that is kind of sucks, to be honest. I think it was awful. But let's talk about...
Spoilers.
So...
It's happening.
Yeah, so...
Spoilers.
There's 4 teen characters, really, in the movie. There's girl who opens the movie. I can't remember her name. The blonde girl.
Yeah, bloody blondie.
Yeah. He kills her and then basically frames her boyfriend. Well, not really her boyfriend, because everyone seems to think he's like some sort of juvenile delinquent. And what's very strange is that basically her death scene results in Freddy in the dream world slashing her a whole bunch, but this results in the real world with her being dragged all along the ceiling and walls and stuff. the meantime, her partner, who is there, is just like watching this happen and sort of screaming, but he seems to be completely unable to then convey this story to the authorities. At least we don't see that happening.
Well, he runs away because he knows he's going to be blamed for it. Because he's the only one there.
Yeah, I guess. That is true, but it seems like strange he doesn't even like try and like make out, he's like, how could I have done it? All this was like a switchblade, like the markings don't like add up, or she's been like dragged all around the ceiling and stuff. That's not even like physically possible. He's just like, I didn't see who was doing it, but he's not making out like, I didn't see who was doing it because there was literally no one there. It was as if he was like looking through a keyhole or something and couldn't see it properly. Yeah. So I thought that was odd. That guy's acting seemed like quite over the top throughout the movie, which I'm sure was probably like the direction he was given, but he seemed like a little bit like unbelievable. He sort of seemed like he just walked out of Grease, to be honest.
Yeah, but we did just watch Grease, but I was also thinking he was very Kaneki. Wait, Kaneki?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Johnny Depp's character, which is why we segue into this movie, plays Nancy's boyfriend, Glenn, who is clear. What's the opposite of an insomniac? Because he's always falling asleep all the time.
Sleep? No. What's it called?
Anyway, while Sarah thinks of that, he's falling asleep with TVs on the bed, he's falling asleep with his headphones on, he just can't stay awake. Which, you'd think Nancy would be the one struggling to stay awake, considering she's been the one that's like sleep deprived the whole time. But Glenn is just, I guess he's just a teenage boy, he just can't stay awake for love nor money.
Narcolepsy.
Yeah, so Glenn maybe has narcolepsy. He also suffers probably the most like iconic death from the movie, where he's falls asleep, is pulled into his bed inexplicably by Freddy, and then from this hole that is created in his bed, just a fountain of blood erupts.
Yeah, that was...
Which I did like that the police do sort of comment, or at least the coroner comes in and is like, he's being like sick in the bathroom because he's like never seen anything like it. Yeah. Because it did seem kind of bizarre that like what has like erupted is, so you have like 8 pints of blood in your body, and there must have been like 50 litres or something in the room, and no one's like, where is his body? What the hell happened?
Yeah. Well, the way people react to stuff happening. Well, I know we haven't gotten there yet, but the police officer guy sees his wife, or maybe his ex-wife.
His ex-wife? Her dad?
Like her weird dead skeletal body sinking into the bed and disappearing. And his reaction is very calm.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like, well, and then he walks out of the room.
Yeah. Well, he sort of turns to his like daughter, who's just seen her mum or corpse sort of disappear, and I just like, are you okay? Or something. Yeah. And
what does she say? She's like, yeah. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah.
All my friends and my mom just died, but it's fine.
Yeah, everyone that I know apart from you is dead now, Dad, but yeah, it's okay, I guess. So she sort of manages to defeat Freddy, you think, by sort of taking the power away from him.
Now we're getting into the weird stuff.
She like turns her back on Freddy and then is like, I'm not like scared of you, but it's not really clear. Like, you think you're in the... So she basically is trying to kill or defeat him by pulling him into the real world where he's like vulnerable. He's like invulnerable in the dream world. So she does that and then sort of turns her back to him to be like, I'm not afraid of you anymore. But I'm thinking like, why aren't you just trying to like attack him in this moment? Although she has already sort of hit him with a mallet.
And set him on fire.
Yeah, it's very like Home Alone.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. It was so Home Alone. I loved that part.
Yeah. So she sets him on fire, and then it's like he kills her mother by just like smothering her while he's on fire, and then she like
I wasn't really I didn't know that she burned. I was honestly didn't really know how she died. I assumed he just
so she turns her back on him and sort of like, I'm not scared of you anymore.
Well, it's because earlier in the movie Johnny Depp says, I think he's trying to talk about people who have lucid dreams. I think that's what he was describing. And how they can like create their own worlds in their dreams or something. And then Nancy's like, what if they create monsters? And then he's like, well, he tells her you have to like not believe in them. And then they go, like, that moment I think was him giving her instructions on how you defeat Freddy.
Yeah.
Or that's what she took it as, which is why she then remembers it at the end. doesn't a similar thing happen in It? Not that I want to talk about that movie, but isn't that the whole thing, is that they realize that their fear is what gives him power, and so then by like taking away his that's how they take away his power. I felt like it was a similar.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, it did seem a bit like, well, one, he doesn't take his own advice because he is ultimately killed by him, her boyfriend who gives her the advice.
Oh yeah, but he never mentions dreaming about him. All the other ones do.
Yeah.
But I think at the very beginning, when Bloody Blondie is talking about she's afraid of him, it does like for a second cut to Johnny Depp, and he kind of has these wide eyes when he's realizing that he's maybe having the same dreams as them, but he never mentions it. Yeah.
What did you think of Johnny Depp's crop top that he was wearing at one point? Do you think that was just the style of teens in the 80s, male teens?
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
Yeah. But it kind of looks like he's just wearing like a football jersey, but for like a 10-year-old. It was just like he's like refused to let it go. He's just like, I'm gonna wear this until it literally rips at the seams while I'm trying to put it on.
Yeah, I thought he looked. I mean, in his older movies, a lot of the time he's wearing a lot of makeup and stuff. But I've seen him in stuff where he's not wearing makeup, and I think he looks way different as a kid. If I didn't know it was him, I don't think I would have thought, oh, that's Johnny Depp as a child.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I wouldn't say, I didn't have like an awful lot to like really do to show off his acting prowess that would then sort of develop, I suppose. But to sort of circle back on the ending
so
talk,
he disappears into the blue light because she stops believing in him.
Basically, pretty much, yeah. And then she opens her door. She's suddenly outside. Her hair's different. She doesn't look as if she's just been in some sort of brutal fight to stay alive. And she walks outside. It's suddenly like the morning, or it's just like the daytime.
Yeah.
Her friends come to pick her up for school, presumably in a car, which you're sort of wondering, like, hang on, didn't all her friends already die?
Yeah.
And then she gets in the car.
And her mom is saying goodbye to her on the porch.
Oh yeah, and we've previously just seen her mom die.
Is also alive.
Yeah. And the car is a convertible. She gets in the car, and then the convertible's roof goes up, and the kids are like, what's going on? And then it's revealed to be the convertible roof is the red and green sort of striped pattern that Freddy Krueger wears.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Okay. I thought that was like ridiculous. Well, yeah, so, and then you're like, well, something's must be amiss.
He's the car.
Yeah, and then, I'm not sure do you see him, like, behind her mum in the doorway?
No. So the car drives away.
Yeah.
And then we see just her mom standing on the porch.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, a hand comes through. And then she very obviously turns into a doll.
Yeah, like an inflatable, like, sex doll. Yeah.
And is dragged through the window by Freddy Krueger's hand.
Yeah, just to be clear, she turns into a doll, not actually in the movie, but for the sake of making the movie, they've clearly done a cut where they changed her, they swapped out the actor for a inflatable doll for the sake of pulling through the window of the door.
This scene makes no sense. We've already had a whole argument about it because it just...
Not an argument.
There's no way for it to make sense.
Yeah.
And you can say why the scene was made, because it wasn't originally going to be
so Wes Craven apparently didn't want it to end like this. Apparently his idea was for the whole... I mean, really tropey sort of
I don't like his idea either.
Is that his ending would be that the movie was all like a dream and Nancy like wakes up from it and everyone is alive. But I mean that's the sort of like typically ending that's mocked that like a child might do, where it's like, and then it turned out it was all a dream. Yeah. So that ending isn't any good either.
No, that ending is bad, but at least it would make sense. That's kind of what I thought was happening when everyone was alive. I was like, wait a minute, was this whole thing a dream? And the whole thing was a dream trope is bad in many ways, because then as an audience member, you are like,
what was the point?
Why did I just watch that?
Yeah.
But anyway, at least then it would make sense. But here, the fact that Freddy appears doesn't...
it's not clear... Well, because he's displaying power... he must, like, by doing that thing with the car roof and, like, taking over the car and stuff. Based on the rules of the movie, they must still be in a dream. But, like, whose dream is it?
Yeah, because if it's Nancy's dream, which presumably it is, because she's the only person still alive, which, oh, yes, we also have to talk about whether Nancy is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
But she's the only person we still see alive in the movie.
Of the kids.
Of the kids. And the mom. Of everyone in that scene.
Yeah.
So, presumably, that this would be her dream. But if it's her dream, based on the rules we have already established, when Freddy comes and haunts them in their dreams, it's always just Freddy and, well... She doesn't, when she sees dead people in her dream, it's only that one girl she sees and she's always in a body bag. So she doesn't normally interact with, like, dead people in the same way. And Freddy is always going after her. Why would Freddy be going after someone who's already dead in the dream? Why would he go after the mom? The mom's dead.
Yeah. Also, why is he going after the mom, like, at all?
Yeah. Well, she burned him alive.
But the whole premise of the movie is that he's, like, going after the children of the people who killed him. So to just, like, pivot and go after the people who killed him seems like a bit of a
and we also
motive.
He grabs the mom and pulls her after Nancy has already driven away. So we're not even in Nancy's perspective, and it's not even like he's torturing Nancy by, like, killing her mom again in front of her because she can't see it.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense whatsoever to me.
Mm-hmm. So apparently the studio had, like, or the producer had intervened to Wes Craven's aghast, made him change the movie, presumably because they wanted to, like, make it either a shocking ending to sort of generate, like, hype, or make it like a kind of cliffhanger so, like, people would go see, like, a sequel. But I don't really think it works like that well because you kind of walk out of it going, like, well, did she die? If she did die, why didn't they just, like, show us that? Because the sequel movie, we've now discovered, like, doesn't even follow her anyway.
Well, and Ewan says that they retcon, is that the correct word?
Yeah.
That they retcon her death in the second one, Nancy's death. But I don't think anything suggests that she dies.
Yeah.
If that last scene is a dream, she gets locked in a car and drives away. But I don't think it suggests, because Freddy goes after her mom then, I think that she's still alive.
Yeah. Well, I think the retcon is probably that she defeats Freddy before that scene happens, and then the movie ends. Like, that scene just doesn't happen.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, because it's a poor choice to put it.
No, it is stupid. It doesn't make it doesn't make any sense. And there's, like, even if you, like, as we've done, like, analyze it, there's, like, about 3 different, like, conclusions you can come to that are all, like, equally underwhelming.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Okay, moving into our segment, why isn't this a musical?
Yeah. Popcorn and Cuban's new segment. New podcast, new segment.
So, would Nightmare on Elm Street be better as a musical?
I think definitely yes.
Yes. To be honest, we started talking, this is how this segment sort of came into being.
Yeah.
Is that we started talking about this, and then we started coming up with songs.
Yeah.
And they're actually, well, okay.
They're great.
Yeah.
No one steal them out there.
For example, we have a sort of Freddy theme song.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is actually the only one we came up with, which has...
Not the actual Freddy theme song from the movie. Get rid of that. That's not starring in our musical.
No. So, if you remember from earlier in this podcast, Freddy does this thing where he does basically from The Sims, where he goes like, watch this, and then... like, cuts off his finger or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
So his theme, it goes, here comes Freddy, here comes Freddy, here comes Freddy with his finger knives. Well, that kind of, goes for a bit. That's as he's sneaking up on people. And then he sort of goes, watch this, and then, like, cuts off his finger.
Yes, this is his starring moment.
Yeah. So he's like, watch this, cuts off finger. Watch this, and then, I don't know.
Cuts off another finger.
Cuts off another finger, and then, watch this, and then slices open his stomach or something.
Yeah, and it's full of maggots, and it's gross. Yeah.
So yeah, that's our Here Comes Freddy song.
Yeah. We also thought there could be a good opportunity for him to do sort of comedic songs when he's like, it's sort of more like a ballad where he's or like a sort of soliloquy type song where he's bemoaning that the parents of Elm Street won't just let him kill their children in peace. He's like, why am I ostracized when all I want to do is kill children?
Yeah. So I think this would be sort of a dark comedy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the movie is already fairly comedic, so I don't think that would be too much of like a tone shift.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like that. It's at least over the top, if it's not being humorous, you know. And Freddy does do a couple sort of like one-linery things in it as well.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Beetlejuice became musical. Well, that's already funny, but I feel like Freddy to me has some similar vibes.
Yeah, and removed from like any context. Like if you just like watch the scene where he's when Nancy pulls him into the real world, and then she like set like the Home Alone stuff when he gets like hit with a mallet, and then he's like he gets set on fire and stuff, and he's like just like this man like running around on fire. He's like really not like menacing at all. Now within the context of the movie, he is in a some way, but like it's not in the same way like the alien in Alien. You look at a picture of the alien, you're like, that's scary, and then you watch any of the scenes from Alien, even if you just had like you were playing like silly music behind it, I still think it would be like menacing. Whereas Freddy just doesn't have the same sort of gravitas behind it.
What would the song be during that Home Alone part?
I don't know. We could do like the Benny Hill thing, you know, that's like the when people are like running around in the but that's like the kind of vibe.
Oh no, I'm on fire again.
It's very similar to the previous song, I think.
No, it's not. What's the previous one? Is Here Comes Freddy. That's very different.
Well, we need other songs from like other characters.
Yeah, okay. I think a good one would be for Johnny Depp, or sort of a duet where they're in sort of opposing. Nancy and Johnny Depp are in houses, and she's singing like stay awake. Johnny, stay awake. And then he's like, why do my eyes feel so droopy? Or something like that.
Yeah. Why do I wear this crop top?
Yeah. So yeah.
What's the chemical that makes you like fall asleep? Maybe we could make it like the song could be called like, you know, the thing people put on like a rug and then they hold it up to someone's face and then they go like, they sort of slump in like spy movies and stuff. It's like chloroform.
Yeah.
Yeah. The song could be called like Crop Top Soaked in Chloroform or something.
Yeah, that'd be good. So I think it has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe we'll start working on that. Yeah. Don't steal our songs.
Yeah. If this podcast is never published, it's because we've actually decided to give everything up to work on Nightmare on Elm Street the musical.
Yeah. So, better as a musical.
I would say so. Better as our musical, at least.
Yeah.
If it was made into a musical and it wasn't better, it's because the people who made it weren't as good at writing it as us.
Exactly. Okay, we've been talking about this a long time. So, shall we wrap up Nightmare on Elm Street? I have given it... Am I blue?
Yeah.
I've given it a 6 out of 10.
And I'm hot pink, so this is the colours of pens we were writing our scores on our list on. I give it a 7. On the Wikipedia it says it's considered one of the greatest horror films ever made. I disagree with that.
Yeah. I think that if it didn't end on that last scene, then perhaps I would have given it a higher score. But it left me with just a like,
an anger.
What did I just watch?
It's like the Rise of Skywalker. It's an ending that leaves you frustrated.
Well, probably not as bad as that.
Yeah, true.
But that is Edward Scissorhands.
No. That is The Nightmare on Elm Street. Or that was a discussion on Nightmare on Elm Street following our discussion on episode
Scissorhands.
Which is what Sarah meant to say.